Yo, what's good, beautiful people? It's your boy Baba J, and we are back with another episode of Six Things We Learned. This time, we're going to be discussing Arsenal's lackluster draw against Nottingham Forest at the City ground. Of course, some of you guys would have been here when I previewed that game, and maybe my expectations were just a little bit too high. Forgive me for thinking that the best team in England was going to go and prove it against Nottingham Forest this weekend. Unfortunately, we were not able to do that. But outside of that, listen, this week has been a crazy week of football. Crazy. In the Premier League, in La Liga, in AFCON, there's been so much going on. But me, of course, I'm an Arsenal fan. And probably most of you watching this are Arsenal fans. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. Well, mainly. So let's get straight into it. So this one is more generally speaking, what I learned from this game and what I learned from just watching all of the Premier League action this weekend is that the Premier League is the most competitive it has been in a long time. I keep on seeing people make this rubbish, silly argument that, oh, this is the worst Premier League that we've seen in a long time. It's absolutely not. That couldn't be further from the truth. And you know how I know that's true? Is because whenever you actually hear the arguments as to why they believe this, they always talk about the big six teams. Last time I checked, there was 20 teams in the league and not six. You can't just define the quality of a league by looking at the top teams. You have to look at everybody. And holistically, right now, there are no easy games in the Premier League. Bar, maybe, in fact, even Wolves. Wolves are not an easy team to beat. We saw what happened yesterday. Wolves just went and got a draw at home against Newcastle. Even Burnley, they got a draw against Liverpool. So it's like there's no easy games this season in the Premier League. No matter how good you are, no matter how fantastic your striker is, or your defense, or your squad depth, you have to earn your wins. Every single 3 points must be earned. Gone are the days of just rolling up to any stadium if you're a big team and just expecting 3 points. That is not going to happen this season. And we learned that firsthand against Nottingham Forest. I think the first time we played them earlier on in the season, I think that was a perfect time to play them. I think that was their first match under Ange Postecoglou, I believe. And he got fired himself from another job this season, So we caught them at a good time. We beat them, rolled them over fairly easily, I would say. But this time, Sean Dyche, we know he's a very stubborn guy. He's never going to allow Arsenal to rock up to his stadium and just hand us the points. It's not going to happen. And boy, first half, I would say we were relatively okay. We weren't too bad. We were controlling the game, restricting them from opportunities. But I don't think we created enough. And I don't think we were as dominant as we needed to be in the final third, creating enough chances. Not at all. Second half, we made a few changes, and I think we were a bit more threatening, but still, they defended like lions. Murillo, Aina, Sells, the goalkeeper, bloody hell, phenomenal game. And that just goes to show the quality that the league has now. You've got players that could arguably get on the bench or start for some of the top teams in the league, So, boy, it was a frustrating game to watch, but I think it just highlights the quality that we have in the Premier League this season. So as much as Arsenal fans, including myself, were really upset and disappointed with this result, we have to put it into context and understand that when you're playing a hard run of games, you have to prioritize the Premier League fixtures, which is going to bring me on to one of my points later on in this video. And I don't feel like we did our best to prioritize this game. I think maybe we're half looking at the Inter Milan game on Tuesday, half looking at the Manchester United game on the weekend, and we thought we should be good enough to go and get the 3 points. But Nottingham Forest, they were very stubborn, and I think they earned that point. So I can do nothing but credit them, credit Sean Dyche. I do think there was a controversial decision with the penalty, but either way, outside of that, we weren't good enough to win this game. So there's no point even bringing it up as an excuse or as a reason as to why we didn't win this game. So yeah. The second thing I learned from this game is that, boy, do we need Calafiori back in this team. And if not Calafiori, then at least Hincapié. Because Don't get me wrong, Timber is a phenomenal player. And the fact that Arteta has enough confidence to play him out of position as a left back, it only speaks to how great of a player he is. But at the end of the day, he's not as comfortable in that position as he is when he's playing right back. And we can tell. Do you understand? I feel like when he plays over on that side, of course, he's on his weaker foot. And Timber isn't the greatest attacking player anyway. But then to put him on his weaker side and expect him to influence the game, to help out in attack, to link up with Trossard or Martinelli, it's just unrealistic. And I feel like, unfortunately, when he plays on the left, yes, we do maintain a high level of defensive stability. We did keep a clean sheet in the game. It's one positive. However, it does hamper our strength on the left. And I think one thing that we've done much better this season than we have in some of the previous years is our left side has pretty much been almost as effective, if not even more effective, than our right side. And Calafiori has been a major, major, major player in making that happen. And it's so annoying with him is because whenever he gets injured, it's always some sort of mystery. It's like Arteta and the club never want to give any clear statements in regards to what the injury is, how long he's going to be out for, when he'll be back. And it just kind of leaves us as fans in limbo. Before that game, we all thought there's a chance he's going to be fit. And we saw Mosquera on the bench, which I'm very happy about. That's one thing that's gone under the radar with this game as well. But Calafiori is just so important to what we've been doing this season when we've been looking our best. And when I saw that team sheet and I saw that he wasn't there, I just got annoyed a little bit, you know. So I think we need him back, you know. But obviously at the same time, I don't want him to be rushed back. We're going to need him for the rest of the season. So if we can get through this run of games that we've got now and pick up as many points as we possibly can and get a fully fit Calafiori for the rest of the season, I'll take it. But we missed him yesterday. Real bad. Real bad. So listen, brother, Calafiori, I'm praying that you will return to us very, very soon. Hopefully, you'll be back for Inter Milan. Maybe you can make a substitutions appearance, get you fit, and maybe you could start on the weekend against Manchester United. The third thing I learned from this game is we need Kai Havertz back. I'm so sorry. Enough is enough. Yeah. I told you guys at the beginning of the season, I put Gyökeres on probation period. That's what I do with all Arsenal signings. It's just in my head, of course. I'm not the coach. I'm not the manager. I'm not a decision maker at Arsenal whatsoever. I'm a fan and I'm going to support the team no matter what. However, I'm always going to give players a chance to prove themselves. We're not the Arsenal that was going into seasons hoping we can get top four. No, this season we are going into it expecting to win the Premier League and hoping we can win the Champions League. That means there's no space for stragglers. There's no space in this team for people who are not going to pull their weight, and most definitely no space for people to come into this team who promised us and told us that they were going to deliver this and deliver that and not do it. And for those wondering, yes, I am talking about Mr. Gyökeres. The last week has been very interesting, to say the least. The ways in which I've seen some of our fans looking for players around the pitch to blame in order to almost absolve Gyökeres off of his responsibility within the team. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, we can be doing more to create opportunities for him. But even outside of the chances that are not being created for him, his overall play has just not really been good enough. And I hate to be in this situation again where I'm looking to the likes of a player like Kai Havertz, who a lot of Arsenal fans told us that he wasn't good enough to be starting in this team. I'm not happy about that. We thought Gyökeres was going to come and deliver us from this this monkey that's been on our back for ages. The fact that we haven't had a competent number 9 that's going to put up 20 goals a season. But now I'm starting to wonder, do we need a competent number 9? Or right now, do we just need a player that's going to come in, play well with the players around him, and chip in with the GNA in important moments? And right now, the only player that we have in our team that's proven that he can do that is Kai Havertz. Jesus is there, of course. You know, he's recovering from an ACL. So I'm not putting too much pressure on him right now. I feel like when he's come in, He's chipped in, he's done what he needed to do. But in the last few games, whether he's come on as a sub or whether he started, he hasn't been at his best. Do you know what I'm saying? I think he did get the assist against Portsmouth. And of course, he's had other contributions outside of that. But I know that when this man is fit, Kai Havertz, he can definitely have a say in what we do going into the end of the season. And that's both in the Champions League and in the Premier League. So, of course, he's been fit for a few games now. We've seen him come off the bench and feel his way into games, and he's been looking sharp. I just really want him to be back to full fitness so that we know that we have a number 9 up top who can actually do the job for Arsenal. And I'm just counting the days. I'm counting the weeks, man. Hopefully he can get some minutes against Inter Milan. That would be fantastic. He's been making small cameos, but I want him to get at least 45 minutes of football or even 60 minutes. That would be fantastic. The next point I want to make, so this being the 5th thing I learned from this game, is in my opinion, Arteta got it wrong. And I'm not saying Arteta out. I love Arteta and I think he has done miracles at Arsenal Football Club to get us from the pits of hell to genuinely being expectant that we should win the Premier League. That's because of him. However, going into this game, I said we've got a tough run of away fixtures, and I said we need to prioritize winning in those Premier League games because Man City has a tough run of fixtures. We need to capitalize, kick them while they're down. The longer we take to just completely kill off this Premier League, the more hope we give them. And we've seen already how they're moving. They still believe that they can win this Premier League. They went out and signed Semenyo. They went out and signed Mark Gahey. And I'm not saying those players are just going to come in and transform Man City into the title monsters that we've seen in the past. But when you have a manager like Pep Guardiola and the quality of players like Rodri, Haaland, Cherki, and then the new ones that they're adding, we have to be wary. They've earned that respect. We have to be wary. So we can't take any games in the Premier League for granted. And in my opinion, Inter Milan was the game to rest and rotate players. We have been imperious in the Champions League so far. We've earned the right to rotate a little bit. Yes, I know it's a hard game. Going to San Siro, playing Inter Milan will never be easy. But even if we drew that game or lost it, we're still probably going to be top of the Champions League table, if not second. And then our last game, Kyra, I believe, I think that's a game that we can easily win with a rotated squad. So in my opinion, Arteta should have gone full strength against Nottingham Forest. Now, some of you guys are going to be thinking, oh, but what rotations did he really make? Well, he started Noni Madueke on the right and he started Martinelli on the left. And I think, personally, we needed Trossard to start from the first minute. We needed Saka to start from the first minute. Because when Trossard came on at halftime, he is a lot more technically sound than Martinelli. And when you're playing Timber at left back, you need to play Trossard, in my opinion. Because Martinelli, his ball retention in the final third or in their half of the pitch is just not fantastic. And it kind of turned the game into a bit of a pinball match. It's like, no, in this game, we need to control it. We need to impose ourselves. And we need to maintain pressure. Make them fold. Make the fans get nervous. But we weren't able to do that. And I think a lot of that is down to the starting lineup, in my opinion. And then on the right, not to say that Noni was horrible, but he wasn't good either. He wasn't causing a threat. He wasn't making anybody panic. And I just feel like we wasted about 45 to 60 minutes of that game. It was only for the last 30 minutes or so that we saw Arsenal sustaining any form of pressure. It's just not enough. In a game like that, what are they going to start doing? Rolling around, kicking and clearing the ball out and just frustrating us. And that's exactly what happened. Saka, when he came on, it looked like he was the only player that was really, really trying to win us that game. He created multiple chances. He also had a chance that was saved by Sales. And I just look back and I think, did we waste that initial 45 minutes by not going strong? And part of the reason why I know I'm right with this point is because Arteta himself realized this and made a halftime substitution and brought on Bukayo Saka around 55 minutes. and Mika Moreno. So I'm just thinking, well, you clearly know you've made a mistake. You're trying to correct it, and I give you credit for that. But ultimately, I think you should have known this before the game because I knew it, you know? So, Arteta, I love you. Don't get me wrong. You've made more than enough correct decisions this season. And I thank you for getting us to this position. And yes, we are still sitting pretty comfortable at the top of the league. But that 7-point gap could have been a 9-point gap. And I would have felt a lot more confident going into that Inter Milan game and going into that Manchester United game on the weekend. Now, the sixth thing that I learned from this game on the weekend is that Arsenal are still the best team in the league. Now, I've already spoken about how competitive the league is this season and that any team can beat any team. And out of all of the teams, from the small ones to the big ones, Arsenal have proven that we are the most consistent. And one thing I've always known is that if you can't win, at least get a draw. You know, if we had lost on the weekend, we would have still been sitting in the same position, 6 points clear of Man City and 6 points clear of Aston Villa. But thank goodness, thank God that both of our closest rivals dropped points this weekend. And not only did they drop points, they both lost. So technically, Arsenal have actually come out of this weekend in a stronger position than we went into it with. So that's a positive. That is a positive. And I don't want the Arsenal fans to slip into this negative mentality. I'm already seeing loads of fans online crashing out. It's just like, guys, calm down. We were all upset and annoyed and frustrated, and rightfully so, with the result on the weekend. But that's because we know we can do better. We have raised the expectations to a point where we expect to win every game. And not only do we expect to win every game, we expect to win every game comfortably. But that's just not realistic in football. And that most definitely is not realistic this season. It's just not going to happen. People are constantly saying, oh, Man City are crap, this, that. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not as good as they were in previous years, but they're not crap. Let's get that straight. But it's just that the teams in and around us in the league have raised their level to the point where they can compete with us, especially when you consider the fact that Arsenal, Man City, Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool, we're all playing multiple competitions and we're having to find ways to rotate our squad, deal with injuries. And a lot of these teams, they've got stable, consistent squads. Some of them have stable, consistent managers. And yes, they're able to put up a fight, especially when we'll go into their grounds. And that's something that we have to accept this season. We do not have to be perfect to win this Premier League. We just have to be better than the people who are challenging us for this title. And so far this season, we have absolutely been better than Man City. And we most definitely have been better than Aston Villa. So guys, let's chill a little bit. Let's not get too enthralled in the emotions and start lashing out and saying things that we're going to regret in the future. I'm still a strong believer that we will win this league, but I don't think the players can do it without us. As fans, we need to come together, support the lads. Victory through harmony. So that has been the 6 things I learned from the Nottingham Forest and Arsenal game. If you liked the video, please, there's a button down below. You can like it. Drop a comment. If you disagree with anything I've said, I will respond. I always respond to any comments. And also, please follow me on social media. Babajide on X, on Twitter, X, whatever you call it. And Babajide14 on TikTok and all the other social media platforms. But yeah, I will see you guys later on this evening. We are going to be previewing the Inter Milan and Arsenal Champions League game. Hopefully we can bounce back and get a solid result. But until then,
it's what the world been missing right here.